Hello everyone, this is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the Boxhard podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Boxhard podcast. This is the ninth episode. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I welcome, as always, Mr. Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, before we get into today's episode, or this week's episode, should I say, I just want to say we're sending our condolences here from the Boxhard podcast for all those affected by the events that occurred in Paris on Friday the 13th, just last week. A lot of horrible things went down. Over there. So, our heart goes out to anybody affected by that, anybody whose families were over there at the time. Very, very tragic news. I hope that gets sorted out as soon as possible. Okay, on a brighter note now, we're going to start the show. We're going to start the show with the first part of the show. As everybody knows, if you've listened before, this show has two parts. It has the review part and the preview part. Now, we're going to get into the review part where we review the fights, what happened last weekend. However, we did say last weekend there wasn't much going on, so it shouldn't be too long this week for the review part. But the preview part should be quite juicy. There's a lot of stuff coming up. I'm sure that you're eager to get into that side of things, Ayaz. We're going to start on the Wednesday. There was a card in Australia. Anthony Mundine, who was a good fighter. He fought Charles Hatley, and Mundine was upset here. He was stopped via TKO in the 11th round. He was down numerous times during the bout. So he was completely outclassed by Charles Hatley. So a win for Charles Hatley, and Mundine picks up his 7th loss now. His record now 47-7. Charles Hatley 26-1 with the one draw. That was just an odd card on the Wednesday. There wasn't really anything on the Thursday. There was one fight I want to mention that occurred on the Friday. Edwin Rodriguez, who was a victim of Andre Ward. He was fighting Michael Seals. Now, Edwin Rodriguez, apologies for that. Edwin Rodriguez moved to 28-1, a good win, very, very good win to get. Michael Seals was unbeaten, 19-0, and Edwin stopped him in the third round. That's TKO. Rodriguez was down twice, though, and Seals was down once in the second and once in the third, I believe. But Rodriguez was knocked down twice, so it's a good win. It shows a lot when you get knocked down and you get up off the canvas to win the fight. That happened on the Friday. I think there was also another little card on the Friday. I'm not sure if it was Friday or Saturday now, but I just want to mention Kiko Martinez in Spain, in Las Palmas. He picked up his 34th professional win. He now moves to 34-6. No real need to mention his opponent. I don't think anyone will know him. His name's Averf Briseno. He's now 35-13 with the two draws. I thought I'd mention him anyway. Okay, so I think that's it for the midweek sort of shows, the Wednesday, the Thursday, the Friday. So we'll move over to Saturday now. I know there's not many places to start on Saturday, Ayaz, but is there anywhere in particular you'd want to start?
In UK, didn't Nick Blackwell fight on Saturday?
Yes, of course. That was over in Bristol. Nick Blackwell, he picked up a win over Jack Arnfield. It was a good fight. I put my hands up and say I actually missed it. But from what I've heard, it's an absolutely cracking fight. Did you catch it at all, Ayaz, or did you miss it?
I actually recorded the fight, so I'm going to watch it. But everyone obviously knows about Nick Blackwell beating our very own John Ryder.
Yes, of course. That was a notable win for him, yeah. So now he's moved to 19-3 with the one draw. Jack Arnfield, he's now 19-2. Again, this was, another good win for Nick Blackwell. A very, very tough man, very, very underrated. I know he's done a lot of sparring with the likes of James DeGale, the likes of Billy Joe Saunders and other people like that. So, another win for him, another good win at middleweight. 12th round, unanimous decision. Forgot to mention. Also on that card, Andrew Selby. He was fighting another 8-rounder. He fought a guy called Joseph Ajtai. Now, Joseph Ajtai was 10-0, unbeaten, 10-0. Andrew Selby, of course, before this fight, he was 1-0. Well, he's now 2-0. Second round TKO victory. So Andrew Selby now 2 fights, 2 wins, both by knockout. The guy he was facing, again, he was unbeaten, but I didn't know much about him. But another good win for Selby, who looks absolutely fantastic after just 2 fights. I saw a few people on Twitter saying he's the best fighter they've ever seen. I mean, I think it's a bit early to start shouting that one out, but nonetheless, a good win for him. Young Fury was also on the card. I watched this one. Young Fury, he fought a guy called Imantas Davidaitis. Now, Davidaitis, I'm not sure of his height, but he was very, very, very tall in there. And he looked very tall standing next to Young Fury. Young Fury's only 6'4". I know I say only 6'4", but 6'4" is considered a bit small for modern day heavyweights. But Young Fury, he moved to 6-1. It was a points win. He was struggling a lot with Davidaitis, to be honest. Davidaitis was only 4 wins, 12 losses, and 1 draw. But it's good for Young Fury to get this win because, he's sparring obviously the likes of Hughie Fury, 6'6", and Tyson Fury, 6'9". He's sparring with these guys a lot, and I was a bit surprised when I saw that he couldn't really. I don't want to say couldn't deal with him because he won the fight, but he was finding it hard to get to him, which I thought was pretty surprising. But nonetheless, again, another win for Young Fury. Sorry, I keep calling him Hughie Fury. It's because Hughie Fury's on the show a little bit later on. So Young Fury picks up another win. Again, he's very inexperienced. He's only had the 7 fights professionally now. Moving over to Hughie Fury's fight. Now, I'm not going to get too much into this because, as I said, a little bit later, Hughie will be joining us on the show. He moved to 17-0 though, with a win over Emilio Ezekiel Zarate. Hughie Fury now 17-0. Zarate went into this fight with a record of 18 wins, 14 losses and 3 draws. It's now 18 wins, 15 losses and 3 draws. Hughie Fury looked absolutely brilliant in there, to be honest. I don't know if you saw that one, Ayaz, or if you've recorded it or whatever, but he got the knockout in the second round and he just looked absolutely brilliant. And, it was surprising how good he looked. I know that this opponent's, not very credible. I understand that. But Hughie Fury's fighting in 2 weeks' time, as I understand, on the undercard of, Tyson Fury, Vladimir Klitschko. So it was surprising because we're going to see him in 2 fights in 2 weeks. And he's got a decent opponent, I believe, for that fight. So it was good to see him out just 2 weeks before the big fight. You've got to see that one, Ayaz, if you haven't seen it. Have you seen it or you taped that one?
I've actually taped that one, and I'm actually looking forward to Hughie Fury. In my opinion, I reckon he's a huge prospect for the future. That's what I think of him.
He is. He's brilliant. I'm not sure if you're going to be there in the show when we interview him. I know you've got a few things to do, but if you're not on, I'll be asking him all sorts of questions. Moving over to Las Vegas now, there was a card over there. There's one fight I wanted to mention. Bermane Stiverne, he returned to the ring. He faced Derek Rossi. Bermane Stiverne, 24-2 and 1 draw. Derek Rossi, 30-10. Now, this was obviously in the heavyweight division. It was scheduled for 10 rounds. Stiverne picked up the win unanimously after 10 rounds. But I tell you something, Ayaz, did you know that Stiverne was knocked down in the first round?
No, I didn't actually know about that.
I tell you what, you got to watch it. I don't think he impressed as much as we expected him to. I don't know what he's got left. I know he's pretty old now. I couldn't tell you his age off the top of my head, but not very impressive by Stiverne. Not very impressive. Remember, when he was the WBC champ, a lot of people saw him as a legitimate fighter, even though I don't think he had many notable wins. Obviously, he beat Chris Arreola, but again, Chris Arreola, look at what he's done lately. You know what I mean? He hasn't looked too great in any kind of fight that he's been in. So yes, Stiverne's come back, and after losing to Deontay Wilder, of course, and he should have put Derek Rossi away, to be totally honest with you. Derek Rossi, he's got 10 losses. He's got, 30 wins, fair enough, but the 10 losses, I really think he should have been better there. What do you think Stiverne's future holds now, Ayaz?
I reckon he's got a couple of fights left in him, in my opinion. I reckon we should give. I know people might disagree or agree with me, but I reckon I would like to see a fight. Hughie Fury, fight him, Bermain Estevan.
Yeah, that'd be good. It would be good. It would be good for the clash of styles. But I mean, we're talking about Derek Rossi here, and Derek Rossi before this fight, his last 6 fights, he'd lost 4 of them. Right, so I can't believe he put him down in the first round. That's a bit embarrassing for someone of Stavern's caliber. The guy has lost 4 in the last 6, and I'll tell you the type of people he's lost to. He's got 11 losses, with 5 of those losses coming by way of TKO. But remember, we're going to talk before the Stavern fight. So he went into the Stavern fight with 10 losses, 5 by knockout. So half the people he loses to knock him out. Now he's got losses to a guy called Trevor Browne. I've never heard of him. He's lost to him in his last fight before Stavern. Before that, he got a win. Before that, he lost to Glazkov, which, that's a credible opponent. Fair enough. He beat Joe Hanks. He lost before that to Joey DeWaco. Now, Joey DeWaco beat him on split decision after only 8 rounds, but Joey DeWaco's got a record of 8-3. Freza Quindo beat this guy. And do you know what? I'll tell you another thing. Derek Rossi, remember, I just want you to remember this. Stavern couldn't get Derek Rossi out of there. Couldn't knock him down. Fair enough, he won on the cards, on all 3 cards, but it was very, very close, okay? The cards was 93-96. Well, I'll do it in order of Stavern. So Stavern was giving it on one card 96-93, another card 96-93, and another card 95-94. So it was razor thin. He only got it by 1 or 2 points. And, that's literally a round. And remember, he was knocked down in the first round. I don't want to bang on about this too much, but Derek Rossi, who's now 35 years of age, he lost to Bermain Stavern, fair enough. But do you remember back in Prize Fighter, if your memory's good, Audley Harrison knocked Derek Rossi out in the second round of a 3-round Prize Fighter contest. And that was 2 years ago. That was 2.5 years ago. Now, if this guy is getting knocked out by Audley Harrison in the second round, and Stavern, the WBC bloody #1 contender for a little while, can't get him out of there or even knock him down in 10 rounds. And not only that, but gets knocked down himself. When you look at the stats, I mean, you look at the facts and the stats, and people, there's a lot of boxing fans, they look at it and go, oh, he's got 10 losses. But it depends on who the guy's lost to. I'm a fan of Audley Harrison. I liked Audley Harrison, but I'm not going to sit here and start saying he's a world beater. And that's just it. I'm being honest. If you've lost to Audley Harrison and then you manage to fight an ex-world champion, to put him down is a very big achievement. So Derek Rossi, really, I think he probably should have won that fight. But anyways, that's it. Sorry for the little rant at the end there. We're going to bring on our first guest, massive prospect for the future in the heavyweight division. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Hughie Fury. Hughie, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, pal. How are you?
Very good, very good. It's weird. It's going to be the first time we're speaking professionally.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you fought last night. Thank you for coming on the show at such a short time after your fight. How did you find it in there, Hughie? Because I'll be honest with you, you was fighting as if you was Muhammad Ali last night. You looked brilliant in there.
To be honest with you, I just felt so relaxed and calm. It just didn't bother me, the occasion. It was just like second nature to me. I just felt really comfortable in there, and it just felt really good. I put on about 16.5 stone now, so from the last time I boxed, I was 15 stone 4, so that's the best I've ever felt in this house. So I'm coming along nicely now.
And because obviously last year you was kept out a lot, you was inactive with the illness you picked up. Are you now back to 100% fitness, Hughie?
Yeah, I'm back to 100% now. I've had a lot of allergy problems with foods and that. Now I've got everything controlled now because I can't even eat beef, anything dairy, nothing wheat, can't eat eggs, I can't eat tuna. It's literally hard work, but I'm finally over it.
That's great to hear. Did you have to be a little bit careful? Was you a little bit worried perhaps that anything was to happen? For instance, you picking up an injury last night, it could have jeopardized your fight in 2 weeks' time on the undercard of Fury Klitschko.
No, I wasn't worried at all. At the end of the day, I really wanted this fight, and I knew I'd do a job.
Okay.
Do enough.
And the fight that you're supposed to be having against Nikolai Furfa,
Yes.
is that been confirmed?
I'm not too sure if it's confirmed, but I think I'm definitely fighting him, yes.
Okay, fair enough. I wanted to get your opinion because Tyson's made a bit of a deal out of Richard Towers helping out for Klitschko, helping him prepare for Tyson Fury. What's your views on that situation, Hughie?
I'm not too sure on that situation, but I remember my dad asking Richard Towers when I was over in France for some sparring. He was over there too, and for some reason he never got back to us. So they obviously one-sided. They obviously don't want their English to do well, so I'll leave them to it. Opinions. I want to keep my opinions to myself there.
Fair enough. That's just fine. A lot of people are unsure of, the sort of sparring you've done. I mean, you've sparred all over the world. What are some of the biggest names that you've sparred aside from obviously your family, the other Furies? What other guys have you sparred with, Hughie?
I sparred with everyone on Tyson's camp there. So I sparred with Eddie Chambers. I sparred with Steve Cunningham. Basically, whoever Tyson sparred, I sparred.
Where do you see Chisora's future lying?
What, Dave Chisora's future?
Yeah, where do you see him going from that crushing defeat to your cousin Tyson?
I think Dave Chisora's finished now already. They'll probably have a few coming fights, but I think Tyson's mentally broken Dave Chisora in, so I can't really see Dave Chisora moving any more forward, to be honest with you.
Fair point.
Who's he fighting next? Is he fighting that Pepper, is it?
I haven't heard, to be totally honest with you, Hughie, to be honest. But that fight, that Chisora fight, would you welcome that fight?
Listen, I told you a million times, just tell everyone, I leave all the matchmaking up to me dad. I just jump in the ring and do the business. And that's it.
Okay, and now sorry, go on.
So it doesn't matter whether you jump in the ring with me. They'll do my job, so I'm not bothered bring them all.
And I wanted to get a few predictions for upcoming fights. Obviously the Fury Klitschko. I know you're going to back your cousin, but can we hear the reasons why you think he's going to win that fight?
Because listen, Tyson Klitschko is everything. He likes to control things. I've been to his training camp. When he was preparing for Chisora, yeah, he was there all the way to that fight, all the way in his training camp. I was only about 16 at the time, and he wasn't getting his own way in sparring, like with the shorter guys, and he wasn't performing good. And anyway, nothing was wrong with him. And as soon as we left, like about 5 days before the fight was going to happen, because he was going to take a coach or fly over, he ended up with a back injury and pulled out of that fight. So he likes to become fully in control of Klitschko. And with Tyson's very unpredictable. He doesn't know what's coming and going. That's why he's cancelled this fight once and pulled it back. So I think Tyson's got the edge over him, and Tyson is very unpredictable. And I know what Tyson's capable of doing. And if Tyson shows up, Tyson's going to be the new champion of the world, and he's going to do it in style. And you never know. Tyson's very good with tall fighters. This could be one of his easiest fights. Okay,
fair point. And you don't have to comment on it if you don't want to. But what's your thoughts on the injury? Do you reckon it was a genuine injury?
I'm not really too sure of the injury. What did he have? He had something wrong with his leg, was it?
Yeah, he picked up a calf injury. I saw an interview where Johnny Nelson, I I think it was with IFL TV. He said that he had the exact same injury that Klitschko claimed to have had, and I think he said that he couldn't even walk for about 3 or 4 weeks. So he was baffled as to how Klitschko was able to actually pencil in a rescheduled date and be, absolutely 100% that he'd make that date.
Yeah, that was just a lot of rubbish. That is, he pulled out as well as soon as Tyson said he was going to pull out as well. So, yeah, I reckon that was a load of false information. That was.
Chagaev has been ordered to fight Lucas Browne for his title. What's your thoughts on that fight, Hughie? Who do you think is going to win that fight?
It'll be a good fight. Lucas Browne, they've both got power. I reckon. Again, Lucas Browne has a very good chance of winning that fight. I wish him all the best with it. But again, Chagaev is very experienced, so it's going to be a very edgy fight. But I'm going to call that a 50-50, to be honest with you, if you go either way. It's how badly Lucas wants it.
Okay. And
I'm edging more towards Chagaev on that one.
Okay, that's interesting. The future, in the future, hopefully, I mean, there's been talks about it, Povetkin to face Wilder for his WBC strap. How do you see that one going down, Hughie?
I see Wilder coming a bit unstuck, to be honest with you, with Povetkin.
I do too, to be honest.
Yeah, I do, but I could be wrong. But that's how I see it.
And the big clash on December 12th, Joshua, Dillian Whyte. I know you're sort of mentioned amongst these guys as the young British talent, the prospects for the future in your division. How do you see that one going?
That one, I'll tell you something, that is one hard one to pick because they both fought each other in the amateurs. That don't mean nothing, but both got tremendous power. To me, she lands first. Whoever lands first is on the back. So, again, that is definitely a 50-50 fight.
Okay. And moving over, I'm going to go down to middleweight now. There's a big fight. Andy Lee against Billy Joe Saunders. How do you see this one going?
That's a very good fight. Andy Lee. I see that it's going to be, depends, because they're both boxers, ain't they? So that might be a bit of a boxing match. I can't really see it being super exciting, to be honest with you. How do you see that one going?
I think if it goes to points, I think you've got to give it to Billy Joe. I think he's got the potential to outbox Lee.
I think, like you say, he's got the more power, hasn't he?
Lee. Yeah, if Lee hits you clean, that's it, you're gone. So it'll be intriguing.
He's done it to everyone he's fight, hasn't he? He starts losing by points and then comes out of nowhere with a right hook or a right hand and then he's knocked the spark out. That's
it. Devastating power. Okay, Hughie, thank you for giving me your predictions. Thank you for talking to me. Good luck. I hope that you do get on that card. I know that nothing's confirmed at the minute, but I hope you do get on that card in 2 weeks' time. And I hope that both the Furies...
Don't worry, I'll be definitely on it.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's good. I hope that both of you get your wins and you come back with the world champion.
I think definitely, hopefully we will. Hope to God we will. It's all in God's hands, so we should be in victory, so hopefully. But anyway, it's a pleasure to be on the show, but thank you very much, Joey.
No problem, Hughie. Been a pleasure talking to you, mate. Take good care and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, you too, sir. God bless.
God bless. Okay, so we're going to get into the second part of the show now. We're going to start with a couple of midweek fights. There's a card down in the Prince Regent Hotel, Chigwell, Essex. Boy Jones is on the card. He's in his 6th professional fight. However, his opponent is yet to be announced. Down in Panama, Guillermo Jones is fighting Daniel Cotto. Guillermo Jones now 39-3 with the 2 draws. Daniel Cotto 17-5 with 1 draw. Jones has been out the ring for 2.5 years, so it'll be interesting to see what he's got left in him. A lot of ring rust there that he would have picked up. That's it for Panama. We're going to move over to the big show in the UK, Jazza Dickens, he fights Martin Ward. That's going to be a really good fight. The British super bantamweight titles on the line there. That'd be really good. I think that's on the Friday, that one. There's also a fight on the Friday, Diego De La Hoya. I believe that's the cousin of Oscar De La Hoya. He's fighting Giovanni Delgado. Diego De La Hoya, who's got a lot of power. I don't know if anybody's seen him. He's got a lot of power. It's only an 8-rounder, but he looks to move to 13-0. Giovanni Delgado's 15-3, so a decent opponent in his own right. Jason Quigley's also on that card. He's 8-0 at the moment. He's looking to move to 9-0. His opponent has not been announced yet, but that's only a 6-rounder middleweight division. Sol Rodriguez is also fighting. He's 18-0 with the 1 draw. He's fighting Ivan Najera. Ivan Najera is 16-1. That's over in Las Vegas, Nevada, I must add. That's not on the same card as the Quigley fight or the other one. That's the only fight to mention there. Now, those are the fights that are on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. We're going to move now to Saturday the 21st of November. A lot of big cards on this night. Now, we're going to start in France. There's a little card over there. Hassan Ndam, he looks to come back to the ring. He fights Avtandil Kurtsidze. Now, Kurtsidze is 31-2, and Hassan Ndam is 31-2. So it should be a good contest there. It's over 12 rounds in the middleweight division. I think Hassan Ndam will probably get that win. Over in Germany now, I don't know how much of a card they've got. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but there's only been 2 fights announced on that bill, and it's only on Saturday, so not much time. So I'm not sure what's going on. But top of the bill, Arthur Abraham, 43-4. He fights our very own Martin Murray, 32-2 with the 1 draw. That's for Arthur Abraham's WBO World Super Middleweight title. How do you see that fight going, Ayaz?
In my opinion, that's a very good fight. Martin Murray vs Arthur Abraham. Obviously, we've seen Arthur Abraham fighting Paul Smith Jr. and beating him twice. But in my opinion, this is a very tough fight, even if you're fighting in Germany as well. So, in my opinion, it's a 50-50 fight.
It's a good fight because a lot of people describe that Arthur Abraham is a bit shot. He hasn't got much left. He's not the fighter he was down at middleweight. This is at super middleweight. Martin Murray, remember, he hasn't had many fights at super middleweight either. He's moved up a couple of fights ago. This is his first proper test because I think he's probably, try and think of a more unlucky fighter. I mean, I'm not talking about personal stuff like, fighters get in the ring and then they get put into a coma. Fighters get in the ring and then, they can never box again. Very sad stories. Boxing's full of stuff like that. But I mean, just for being on the wrong end of decisions unfairly. Martin Murray, when he fought Sergio Martinez, Martin Murray, well, you can't really argue with the Golovkin fight. And he got the draw. Who else did he fought? Felix Sturm as well. That was a fight I think he should have won. He's been he's had it hard on the cards, to be honest. And he's fighting again away yet again. Arthur Abraham's backyard. Arthur Abraham has looked good against Paul Smith. But, Martin Murray doesn't fight in the same way as Paul Smith. So it should be really interesting. I really hope Martin can do it because he really deserves to be a world champion. I think he's a top fighter. And again, he's underrated. When people talk about the top boys in the super middleweight division, even last week, I didn't mention him. I said, we've got a lot of boys in that division. We've got Carl Froch, we've got James DeGale, we've got George Groves. You never think of Martin Murray, who arguably could be one of the best. I'm not saying he beat any of those. I'm just saying he's definitely in the same sentence. He definitely should be mentioned along with those guys. We're rooting for you, Martin. We hope you can pull it off. Also, big card in Manchester. Darles Perez comes back over to face Anthony Crolla. This is for Darles Perez's WBA World Lightweight title. Again, Crolla comes so close last time out. I thought he was going to win that fight. I had him winning at the end of the fight, but Perez retained his title. His record's 32 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Anthony Crolla, 29 wins, 4 losses, and the 3 draws. How do you see that one going, Ayaz? Do you reckon Anthony Crolla can perform to the same standards as he did? Do you reckon he fought out of his skin that night and perhaps he can't do the same things again? I know that Perez has said that he's come over here to knock him out. How do you see that fight going?
In my opinion, this is another 50-50 fight. Because this time Perez is going to come as a different fighter. Obviously, the last fight that we saw, in my opinion, I thought was where Crawler won the fight. Crawler said that he wants to knock him out. Perez said he wants to knock him out. It's a 50-50 fight. May the best man win. That's all I can say.
Yeah, well, hopefully Crawler will be the best man on the night because he's a very, very nice guy, a true nice guy in boxing. Also down that card, Tyrone Nurse, he fights Chris Jenkins. Tyrone Nurse 31-2 with the 1 draw. Chris Jenkins 16-0 with the 1 draw. Hosea Burton's also on the card. He fights Tony Hill. They're fighting for the vacant WBA Continental Light Heavyweight title. Ryan Burnett's on the bill. He's a big prospect. Let's just leave it at that. Adam Booth said something along the lines of he is the best talent he's come across. So that's a lot of stuff. And we all know that what Adam Booth says is, is credible. He knows his stuff. He's one of the best trainers in England, and if not the world, to be honest. So Ryan Burnett, he fights Jason Booth. Ryan Burnett is 11-0 at the moment. Jason Booth's 38-13. That's for the vacant British bantamweight title. Oh, I didn't realise Brian Rose is also on the card. He's fighting Ruben Varane. Brian Rose 27-3 with the 1 draw. Ruben Varane 43-8. So very, very experienced. 51 fights in total for Varane. Just over half of that for Brian Rose. So that should be a test for Brian Rose. It's only an 8-rounder. Charlie Edwards is also on the card. He defends his English flyweight title that he won off of Louis Norman. Charlie Edwards looks to move to 6-0. He's fighting Phil Smith, who has a record of 6-1. That should be a good fight. There's also a fight on the bill. Isaac Lowe fights Ryan Doyle. Both of these guys have got 11 wins each. That's also for the English featherweight title, that one. Stuart Hall, ex-world champion, he's also on the bill. 18-4 with 2 draws. His record, he fights a guy called Elvis Guillen. Elvis Guillen with 9 wins, 16 losses and 4 draws. So, that should be quite an easy win for Stewie Hall, to be honest. But it's only a 6-rounder. Now moving over to the big one in Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino, Las Vegas, USA. Ayaz, I'll let you start. Miguel Cotto, so Canelo Alvarez, talk to me.
Oh, what a fight this is going to be. This is one fight I've been actually looking forward to since it's been announced. I cannot wait to see this fight. The person I would love Miguel Cotto to win this fight because I actually think he's a legend, But then on the other hand, you got the pound for pound next boxing star, Canelo Alvarez, who's roughly, how old is he? 23 years old?
23, 24, yes.
Yes. And he is actually the future of boxing, but wow, this Saturday is going to be a huge fight. I just cannot wait to see who wins. But in my opinion, I would love Miguel Cotto to win.
Mentioning their records, Miguel Cotto, 40 wins and 4 losses. Canelo Alvarez, 45 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. Obviously, that 1 loss coming to Mayweather. Both these guys have lost to Floyd Mayweather. It's for the WBC World Middleweight title, which is the 160-pound crown. The WBC, which, at the moment is owned by Miguel Cotto. The fight is being made at a catch weight of 155 pounds. Now, Miguel Cotto, who won this belt, which is a 160 belt, he's fighting Alvarez, who's a 154 fighter, but it's been made at a catch weight. What do you think of that, Ayaz? Do you think that's a bit wrong? Because remember, these two divisions are 6 pounds apart. There's a 154-pound division and a 160-pound division. It's 6 pounds between them. Now, why are they contesting for the 160 title at the catch weight of 155, which is just 1 pound above the 154 title? Do you think it's a bit wrong? Because in my opinion, if I could bring a rule into boxing, it would be that if you're fighting for a world title, you've got to fight on the weight of what that world title is for. You can't win a title and then, make a catch weight below the weight. Do you know what I mean? I think that's wrong. What's your opinion on that?
I agree with you, Joey. If you're a middleweight, right, and they're fighting for the middleweight, isn't that correct? Right?
Yes.
You should fight at that weight. You don't go lower your drain your body down and fight at 155 at catch weight. Wasn't there a rumor that Golovkin that they were meant to fight at like 157?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have a problem with catch weights if there's no titles involved. I think that's fair enough. If some people, for example, Golovkin, he's a natural 160 fighter. If he has to lose 3 pounds to go down to 157, and he's fighting, let's say, I don't know, Canelo. If the fight tomorrow was Golovkin Canelo, none of them. I was going to say none of them's got world titles. What am I talking about? If two guys fight at a catch weight, if they're not for world titles, then I understand. That's okay. If it's for a title, it should be done bang on the title weight. I think that's the case. I don't think two guys from separate divisions should be able to unify titles either, to be totally honest. I'm not sure about that one. I'd have to give that more thought. But I think if you are, a middleweight, you shouldn't be able to lose weight and go down to a division which is only 1 pound higher than the division underneath it. That's crazy, in my opinion. I mean, again, get back onto my point. I don't know, if a guy was at 160 who had no titles and he was at 160, was comfortable at 160, then there's a guy who's very comfortable at 154 and he's got no titles either. Fine, meet at 157, fine. Both lose a little bit of weight, come out of your comfort zones, 3 pounds each. One of you's got to put on 3 pounds, one of you's got to lose 3 pounds. That's fair enough. That's fine. But it shouldn't be for people who's got titles. If you want it at that weight, you should keep it at that weight, and that's where it should be. Because I think it's wrong in my opinion, but I don't want to bash on too much about it. So you're rooting for Miguel Cotto. You want him to win. Do you also think he's going to win, or do you just want him to win, Ayaz?
I want him to win, but in my opinion, I got a feeling Canelo's going to win this fight because of his age.
Yeah, I did a little accumulator bet back a few weeks back now. I'm not going to say some of the other fights I mentioned, but it was basically I had to pick 4 or 5 people in their respective fights who would win by knockout. I picked Golovkin to knock Lemieux out. I got that one right. I picked Golovkin to knock Cotto out. And I think that's going to happen, if I'm honest. That's why I did it. I've got 2 more fights or 3 more fights, but I'm not going to mention those at the moment. Moving down that card, Randy Caballero, he's on the card. He defends his IBF World Bantamweight title against Lee Haskins, our very own Bristol boy Lee Haskins. We all hope Lee Haskins can do this, and do the business and get this victory, don't we, Ayaz?
I want Lee Haskins to win. This is his first time as well in fighting in Mandela Bay in such a big card.
Yeah, he's done it the hard way, Lee Haskins. He's underrated. There's other people that he's beat, that he hasn't really got the credit for. He's beat a lot of fighters. He's beat Jamie McDonnell. Jamie McDonnell went on to be, a world titleist. He's beaten Stewie Hall. Stewie Hall went on to be a world titleist. He's beaten a lot of guys that are, that have gone on to world titles. So hopefully he can go on to the world title himself. We just want the Brits to do well on this show, and we hope he does it. Randy Caballero, though, a very good boxer, in his own right, undefeated as well, whereas Lee Haskins has got 3 losses. Lee Haskins' record 32 wins, 3 losses. Randy Caballero is 22-0, so it's a tough ask, and it's away from home, but, if he shows up, I'm sure he'll do it. Also, Rigondeaux is on the bill. He's back in the ring. He's fighting Drian Francisco. Rigondeaux, widely regarded as the pound-for-pound number 1. He's 15-0 at the moment. He fights Drian Francisco 28-3 with the 1 draw. Should be an easy win for Rigondeaux, Ayaz. But remember, Rigondeaux's last fight, he didn't look too impressive in whatsoever. But he should get the win here, surely.
He should. Hasn't it been said that Eddie Hearn or was it Barry McGregor or both of them said the winner between Quake Frampton fights Rigondeaux?
Well, I haven't seen that, but that'd be wicked because we'd really find out who's the number 1 guy in the division. I know a lot of people, they say it's Rigondeaux, but you just don't know. Anything can happen in boxing. Anything can happen in boxing. It's the most unpredictable sport in the whole world.
Yes, it is. Anything can happen. But if that fight happens, I just see Rigondeaux beating them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Well, before we start getting into the conversation about fights that may or may not happen, because we could be here all day, it's time for our second guest on this week's show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Austin No Doubt Trout. Welcome to the show, Austin. In your last 4 fights, you've had 3 stoppages, Austin, and I was looking at the sort of weights that you come in at. Early on in your career, there was a few times where you came in over the 160 limit, and I noticed that you've come in over 160 on 6 occasions, and all 6 occasions you've won by knockout. Fair enough, you haven't been in there with the type of opponents that you've fought on the biggest stage. Would you not consider going up to 160?
So, I'm still right around the junior middleweight weight, and I really want to clean up that division before I do go to middleweight. But if my body won't allow me to make junior middleweight, then I'll go up next fight if possible, if need be. But I think I can still make junior middle, not easy, but I feel myself and I still feel strong.
Yes, so I need to ask you again about your thoughts on the Canelo Cotto fight. Obviously you faced them both. How do you see that one going, Austin?
Well, first it's gonna be a good fight. I'm rooting for Cotto. Obviously it'd be better for my career if he won. So I'm definitely rooting for him. But I believe Canelo has all the physical advantages as far as size and strength and youth goes. So I think Canelo's gonna win the fight. I'm pushing for Cotto. I'm even gonna put some money on Cotto, depending on what the odds are. And we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a good fight, regardless of what does happen.
Okay, and obviously you've been in there with a lot of opponents now, a lot of number one contenders, number two contenders. What's your toughest fight to date, Austin?
It had to be the Lara fight. I wasn't able to figure him out. He really was in my head. And then, of course, his speed and his accuracy was hard to deal with, which was all set up by his footwork. Yeah, Lara was definitely the hardest fight.
Okay, and what's your sort of top three in your division at the moment, taking yourself out of that equation, just like the top four, top five people in the 154 division?
My top five, aside from me, would be Lara, Canelo, Andrade, and the Charlo twins.
In no particular order?
Lara definitely being number one, and then, the rest in no particular order.
And I also wanted to let you know that tomorrow it is your 8-year anniversary for your 12th fight. Your 12th fight was 8 years ago tomorrow, where you got a TKO in the first round.
How about that?
So yeah, and also I wanted to say a couple of other fights are coming up. And there's also a few potential fights that could be made in the near future. I'm going to start with the potential fight. If Ward was to fight Golovkin, how do you see that one going down, Austin?
Definitely Ward. I think Ward is he's big, strong, fast, smart. He's a total package. In my opinion, now Floyd is gone, he's the number one pound for pound, in my book. If he can stay healthy, I know he's playing with injuries, so it's kind of messing him up, but Ward will box circles around him, and, depending on how good Triple G's chin is, he could possibly stop him.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Yeah.
Also, there's a potential fight coming up. I just want to get your opinion on Kell Brook. He's made a bit of a name for himself over there now, obviously, for beating Sean Porter. What do you think of Kell Brook, and how do you see a fight going if he fought Amir Khan?
Oh, man, I like watching Kell Brook. He's very technical, precise, but fan-friendly. Definitely like watching him. Him and Amir would be a good fight because it's really a professional against amateur. Amir Khan still having an amateur style, Kell Brook really having a great professional style. I can't really see how that would swing. I would love to be a spectator of that one, though.
Okay. And there's also a fight coming up as well. There's an Irish guy who's been fighting on a few PBC cards. Are you familiar with Spike O'Sullivan?
No, to be honest, I am not. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. No, he's basically got a tough fight coming up against Chris Eubank Jr. Have you seen anything of Chris Eubank Jr.?
I've seen Chris Eubank, definitely, yeah. I've seen him fight.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed with him. And I know he's got shoes to fill with his father, but, the kid is good.
Yeah. Okay, now, if you don't know enough about his opponent, then that's absolutely fine. The other thing I wanted to ask you, the last question before I pass you over to my partner, I believe that your favourite fighter from Britain in history is Joe Calzaghe. What is your current best fighter? From Britain. I know we've got people like James DeGale, people like Carl Frampton, all these types of guys. Who do you think number one right now, in your opinion?
I'm gonna rock with my man Anthony Joshua. I think he's really the one to bring back the heavyweight division. Among other heavyweights like Deontay Wilder, he has a charisma to really put excitement in it. But Joshua, I'm excited to see where his career goes.
Yeah, he's got a massive fight coming up. I don't know if you're aware, but he's got a massive fight coming up on the 12th of December. He's fighting a guy called... Are you familiar with a guy called Dillian Whyte?
The name's not familiar. I'm not going to look it up.
No, that's fine. Basically, Dillian Whyte defeated Anthony Joshua when they was amateurs. Dillian Whyte, he frequently goes out to help Klitschko prepare for his opponents. For example, Klitschko's fighting Tyson Fury in 2 weeks' time. In 1 week's time. Yeah, 2 weeks' time, 1 week's time, whatever. He's out there. He's also being trained by Jonathan Banks. So this should be a really good fight. So that's on December the 12th. So if you can get that somewhere, I think it'll be getting shown somewhere on US TV. That'd be a cracking fight. So make sure you give that one a watch. Also, I'll pass you over to my partner now, Austin. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Ayaz, if you bring yourself in.
Hello, Austin. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm very good as well today. Austin, Peter Quillen and Daniel Jacobs fight on the 12th of December. Can you tell me who wins the fight and why?
Oh, listen, it's a sticky situation for me because they're both my friends. They're both very good fighters, and they both have their own advantages, which could implement a victory for each. For example, Quillen has a massive strength in both hands. He has that quick right hand. He has good speed, but he does have a bit of I think, wind problems. Gas is out in the end of the fight. Danny Jacobs has more skill, where you can put more combinations together, split punches and things like that. But he doesn't have as much power as Quillen. Although Danny can still punch. I'm gonna stay neutral, seeing they're both my friends, and I'm gonna really I don't have to explain anything to anybody, so I'm gonna stay neutral on this one and prepare for a great fight in that one.
When can we hear an announcement from you, and who would you like to fight next?
Well, I'm hoping to get an announcement soon. I would love to fight Liam Smith for his WBO title. That's ever since they overstepped me for him to win it. That's what I've been eyeing, and I'm hoping to make that happen in the short future.
Andy Lee is fighting Billy Joe Saunders in December.
Yeah.
Can you tell me who wins that fight and why also?
I'm gonna go with my man Andy Lee. I'm rocking with him. I hope he, a win over Saunders will definitely give him the victory that and the respect of the champion that he deserves.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Austin. I'll pass you over to Joey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Austin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I'm sorry for the technical issues that we had earlier on.
But all right, man.
Thank you very much for coming on the show, and it's been an absolute pleasure, like I say, to have a ex-world champion and future world champion.
Future. Yeah,
don't worry, I had it. Don't worry, I got it. Okay, my man.
Got it.
Take good care. I wish you good health, and we'll speak soon.
Thank you, man.
Okay, it's time to conclude the 9th episode of the Boxhard podcast. Shout out to you if you listened right up until the end. I just want to point out that we aim every week to get one guest on our show. Due to failing to do so last week, we had to make up to you by bringing 2 guests on this week in Austin Trout and Hughie Fury. Don't worry, people, we've got your backs. Please retweet, follow, like, comment, share, repost. Join us next week. Now, from myself and Ayaz on the only British podcast that brings this many international boxing stars to your ears. Take care and see you next week.